They say the loudest man in the room is the weakest, and yet, most men still raise their voices, raise their hands, raise their efforts, hoping to be seen. But real attraction doesn't chase attention, it commands it. Not through words, not through performance, but through presence. This is not about looks, wealth, or charm. This is about gravity, a silent power that pulls her in before you even speak, a calm so unshakable. It makes her nervous in the best way, a posture, an energy, a stillness that says, I know who I am. I don't need you to get it, but if you do, you'll never forget me. This is what separates the man she forgets from the man she can't stop thinking about. And in the next few minutes, I'll show you exactly how to become that man. The one who doesn't perform, the one who doesn't explain, the one who simply exists so deeply aligned with himself that her desire becomes inevitable. Welcome to the quiet power few understand but no one can ignore. Now lean in and listen closely. Number 1. The power of stillness, where real attraction begins. What if the most powerful thing you could say was nothing at all? Imagine standing in the middle of a raging storm, not moving, not shouting, not pleading for safety, but rooted like a mountain. The wind screams, the chaos spins, and yet there you are, unmoved. That image, that sensation of complete control in the middle of noise, is the essence of quiet power. And that's where real attraction begins, not with effort, not with performance, but with presence. Most men misunderstand what creates desire. They believe it's about showing up louder, funnier, more charming. So they chase, they send constant texts, crack too many jokes, try to win her approval. But all this effort sends one silent message. I need something from you. And that neediness, it's the very thing that kills attraction. Real power, the kind that draws women in without you saying a word, doesn't come from seeking attention. It comes from knowing you don't need it. It's not arrogance, it's certainty. It's the stillness of a man who has already chosen himself. He is not waiting to be picked. He's already walking his path with or without applause. Marcus Aurelius, Emperor of Rome, once wrote, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." Machiavelli echoed the same in another form. It is better to be feared than loved, if you cannot be both. But the fear he spoke of was not violence, it was aura. It was the quiet, calm dominance of a man who doesn't need to explain, because his energy already communicates everything. This kind of man enters a room and doesn't need to speak much. His posture speaks, his calm speaks, his restraint speaks. He's not trying to impress, and that's why he becomes unforgettable. In a world of men scrambling for approval, the man who withholds becomes rare. The man who doesn't rush to reply, the man who doesn't share every thought, the man who lives with intention. He becomes mystery, he becomes gravity. Women are not drawn to perfection, they're drawn to polarity, tension, the feeling of being near a man who isn't trying to win, but who already knows his worth. He gives her the space to lean in, to wonder, to imagine, and imagination is where real desire grows. You don't need to be the loudest voice in the room. You need to be the most centered. Because when you stop reacting and start observing, when you stop rushing to be chosen and start acting as the chooser, you shift the dynamic. You stop being an option and start being a force. Stoicism is the framework. It's not cold detachment, it's conscious direction, Seneca said. We suffer more in imagination than in reality. That's what most men do. They overthink every word, every message, every interaction. They try to manage perception, to control the outcome. But the Stoic knows the only thing he controls is how he shows up. Quiet power is not about suppressing emotion, it's about guiding it like a disciplined warrior. It's not that you don't feel, it's that your feelings don't control you. And this emotional self-mastery, that's what women feel first, even before they notice your appearance, your income, or your words. The man who has mastered stillness is dangerous in the best way, because you can't manipulate him, you can't rush him, you can't pull him out of frame. His validation is earned, not given freely. His time is sacred. His energy is not a giveaway. And this, ironically, is what makes him most desirable. He doesn't need to tell her he's different. She feels it. So next time you're tempted to prove yourself, don't. Next time you're tempted to explain, pause. Next time you're tempted to chase, step back. Instead, build yourself. Strengthen your mind. Guard your peace. Choose your words. Move slowly. Show up with intention. And let your stillness create space for her to lean in. Because when a man becomes a lighthouse, he doesn't run after ships. He stands still, and the ships come to him. Now, speak out and comment below. I don't chase attention, I create gravity. Number 2. The Stoic Blueprint lessons that shape irresistible men. If your mind were a battlefield, would you be its commander or its captive? There is a quiet revolution that begins when a man decides he no longer negotiates with chaos. He stops reacting to every emotion, every insult, every mood swing that tries to drag him out of alignment. That man doesn't yell, he doesn't chase, he doesn't need to win an argument to prove his worth. He simply holds the frame. This is the heart of Stoicism, not a theory in books, but a way of standing in the world. A mental fortress. A practiced art of choosing your response, even when your instincts scream otherwise. And when this inner discipline is mastered, it radiates in everything from your tone of voice, to your posture, to the energy you bring into a room. The Stoics taught us that suffering doesn't come from what happens to us, it comes from how we interpret it. Seneca said, "We are more often frightened than hurt, and we suffer more in imagination than in reality." Every time you think she ghosted you and it means you're not enough, you suffer. Every time someone criticizes you and you spiral into overanalysis, you suffer. But all of this is optional because perception is a weapon or a trap. That's why Marcus Aurelius, Emperor of Rome, trained himself to welcome fate instead of resist it. His famous mantra, Amor fati love, your fate, was not just poetic, it was practical. The Stoic doesn't ask for an easy life. He asks for strength to shape meaning from the chaos. So what does this look like in modern love? It looks like being the anchor when she is the storm. It looks like staying calm when she throws a test to provoke you. It looks like saying less, breathing more, and letting her emotional wave crash against the walls of your self-control without breaking you. That's how attraction works on a deeper level. Because while most men think women fall in love through logic or lust, they miss the truth. Women fall in love with energy, with presence, with how safe they feel letting go around you. And only a man who has mastered himself can create that field. Let's be clear, Stoicism is not about being cold. It's about being clear. It's not about ignoring emotion, it's about guiding it. Imagine a wild horse. It's powerful, beautiful, but chaotic, without reins. It's dangerous, but in the hands of a trained rider, it becomes majestic. That's how a Stoic man handles his emotions and hers. So when she's distant, you don't panic. When she's flirtatious, you don't get drunk on dopamine. When she's confusing, you don't demand clarity, you embody it. And when life tests you, when things fall apart, you don't collapse. You use it. You build muscle from it. You see every insult, rejection, delay, or betrayal as fuel to become more composed, more focused, more untouchable. Because that's what Stoicism is. A daily practice of choosing stillness over stimulation, strength over sympathy, clarity over confusion. It's waking up each morning not hoping the world is kind, but preparing to remain unshaken, even when it isn't. One of the greatest tools the Stoics gave us is premeditatio malorum, the rehearsal of adversity. It's the idea that each day we should visualize what could go wrong, not to become pessimists, but to become prepared. You imagine the delay, the rejection, the disrespect, not so you fear it, but so that when it comes, you are already stronger than it. That's how you walk into a date, a business deal, or a conflict not hoping for approval, but radiating a man who doesn't flinch when the plan changes. It's not about having no emotion, it's about owning it. The Stoic doesn't suppress his fire, he shapes it, and that fire, that stillness under pressure, that's what women feel even when you say nothing. That's what makes you unforgettable. Because in a world of men who scream when they're triggered, who beg for reassurance, who fall apart the moment someone pulls away, your calm becomes gold. You become the eye in the storm, the center of gravity, and everything starts to orbit around your presence. So don't try to be perfect. Be still, be precise, be grounded. That's how you shape not only attraction, but your entire fate. Now, speak out and comment below. I lead with stillness. Nothing moves me without my permission. Number 3. Breaking the modern illusion. Why chasing destroys power. We live in a world that celebrates noise. Everywhere you look, someone's shouting for attention, likes, validation, approval. Men are told, show her you care. Don't let her slip away. Be persistent. But here's the truth most never see. The more you chase, the more invisible you become, because what you chase runs. Imagine a man sprinting after a bird in a wide open field. Every step he takes, the bird flies farther. But now imagine a man sitting still beneath a tree, quiet, grounded, in time. The bird lands on his shoulder. That's attraction, that's power, and it's not accidental, it's strategic. Modern men are seduced by an illusion that more effort equals more results. But in relationships, that equation is reversed. More trying often creates more distance, because energy speaks louder than words, and the energy of desperation, even when disguised as kindness, screams insecurity. Machiavelli warned us centuries ago, it is much safer to be feared than loved, when one of the two must be lacking. In love, fear doesn't mean violence, it means reverence. The kind of quiet awe a woman feels when she knows you are not easily moved, not because you're cruel, but because you're composed. You don't dance for approval, you don't audition, you choose. This is where Stoicism rewrites the rules of modern romance. It doesn't tell you to be cold, it tells you to be centered. You don't need to win her over, you need to win over your impulses. Because that's what she's watching, not just what you say, but how you respond when things don't go your way. She cancels a date, do you guilt trip her? She gets distant, do you panic and text paragraphs? She flirts with another guy, do you act out to reclaim attention? Every one of those reactions is a silent scream. I have no control. And women feel it instantly. But when you pause, observe, and stay rooted, you become rare. And rarity is magnetic. Seneca once said, he who is brave is free. In relationships, bravery looks like restraint. It looks like walking away when your peace is disrespected. It looks like letting her feel your absence instead of begging her to feel your presence. Because a man who can walk away is a man she never wants to lose. Here's the modern illusion, that your worth is measured by your ability to be constantly available, endlessly understanding, and hyper-communicative. But this leads to burnout, and worse, resentment, because you gave everything hoping it would be enough, and it still wasn't. The Stoic doesn't give to be liked. He gives when it aligns with his values. He doesn't over-explain. He doesn't chase closure. He knows that the more you justify your place in someone's life, the less they value your presence. In fact, the most dangerous illusion is thinking your effort will make her love you. It won't. Her love isn't earned by doing more. It's felt in your being, in your silence, in your discipline, in your refusal to beg for what should be freely given. So how do you reverse this? You stop chasing and you start choosing. You choose where your energy goes. You choose when to speak and when to walk away. You choose yourself again and again until you no longer need anyone to confirm your value. When you do that, the dynamic flips. Suddenly, she's wondering why you're not chasing, why you're not reacting, why your world seems full without her, and in that space her desire is born. Because the truth is, women don't fall for the man who gives them everything. They fall for the man who knows how to give to himself first. The man who's already whole. The man whose silence says more than other men's performances. The man who doesn't seek to be understood, he seeks to be aligned. That's how you break the illusion. You stop playing by rules written for weak men. You stop worshiping availability and start honoring mystery. You become the man who leads with gravity, not persuasion. Because you are not here to beg. You are not here to prove. You are here to embody the kind of presence that reshapes the room simply by walking into it. And that starts the moment you stop chasing. Now, speak out and comment below. I choose myself first and everything follows. Number 4. The daily practice of power Stoic tools to amplify your presence. There is no such thing as an attractive man who is inconsistent. Power, like a sword, must be sharpened daily or it rusts into weakness. And in a world where attention is scattered and validation is sold like candy, the rarest man is the one who moves with stillness, depth, and direction. That man is not born, he is built. Through practice, through discipline, through daily decisions that shift the axis of attraction, one action at a time. You don't become magnetic by reading another book or watching another video. You become magnetic when your habits speak louder than your words, when your actions whisper, "I don't need to impress you because I've already impressed myself." So what does this look like in practice? Tool 1. Premeditatio malorum, the rehearsal of adversity. Each morning, before the day steals your attention, ask yourself, what might go wrong today? What triggers may test me? Maybe she cancels plans. Maybe someone questions your value. Maybe things go quiet. You don't fear it, you prepare for it. You run the scenario through your mind not to be anxious, but to be anchored. You decide in advance how the strong version of you will respond. A man who is prepared for chaos never begs for calm. Tool 2. Emotional reframing. Rewrite the script. Don't repeat the reaction. She flirts with another man at the bar. You could see it as disrespect or as a test of your emotional gravity. Instead of reacting, you reframe. She's revealing what kind of man she believes I am, one who needs to fight for attention. But she's wrong. You smile. You stay still. You shift the focus to your drink, your breath, your posture. That subtle pivot is everything, because it's not about her behavior, it's about your center. Tool 3. The power pause when in doubt. Do nothing. The modern man is addicted to reaction. A text comes in. He replies, "A boundary is tested," he explains. But a powerful man understands the impact of pausing. When you receive that confusing message, don't explain. When your boundary is pushed, don't explode. When your mood is shaken, don't perform. Instead, pause, breathe. Let your stillness respond for you. That pause, it is the birthplace of respect. Tool 4. Presence rituals. Ground yourself before the world moves you. Start your day with one act that returns you to your power. Maybe it's cold water. Maybe it's silence. Maybe it's lifting weights or writing thoughts unfiltered. This ritual is not about productivity. It's about presence. Because when you own your morning, you own your emotional tone for the rest of the day. Women feel that tone. You walk into the date not needing her to like you. You sit across from her, not shrinking when silence arises. You leave her guessing, not from manipulation, but from a man who has more important things than explaining his every move. Tool 5. Strategic withdrawal. Don't reward low energy with high attention. If she gives you breadcrumbs, don't bake her a cake if she's hot and cold. Don't chase warmth if she's not mirroring your energy. You exit the dance with grace, not to punish, but to protect your standards. You don't argue, you don't explain. You vanish with silence and let your absence teach what your presence no longer can. Because when you no longer reward the wrong energy, the right people earn access to you. These are not tactics, these are disciplines. Each one is a brick in the wall of your inner temple. Together, they form a man who doesn't seek peace from the world because he brings peace into the world. A man like that doesn't ask, "How do I attract her?" He asks, "How do I attract myself more deeply each day?" And when he does that, women sense it. They lean in, they soften, they begin to orbit around the gravity of a man who leads not with charm, but with clarity. That is the daily practice of power, not loud, not desperate, not performative, just calm, certain, centered. The kind of presence that doesn't ask for attention because it commands respect. Now, speak out and comment below. Every day I train my energy because power is a practice. Number 5. You are the gravity, becoming the man she can't forget. Some men enter a room and blend into the noise. Others enter and shift the entire atmosphere. She can't explain it. She doesn't know why she notices him first, why she feels more feminine around him, why he lingers in her mind long after he's gone. But she feels it, not from his looks, not from his words, from his gravity. Gravity isn't volume, it's presence. And presence isn't about being the loudest, it's about being unmoved. That's the final truth. Attraction isn't something you chase, it's something you generate. And the most magnetic men are not those who try to be liked. They are the ones who've already chosen themselves. You don't need her attention to validate you. You don't need her reply to feel worthy, because your identity isn't floating, waiting to be caught. It's rooted deep in who you are and what you stand for. Machiavelli wrote, "Everyone sees what you appear to be. Few experience what you really are, but the few who do never forget it." This is the man who commands attention without demanding it. He's not easy to figure out, but not because he's hiding anything. It's because he's not broadcasting himself. He's too busy living fully. When she meets this man, something primal is activated. He doesn't try to entertain. He doesn't overshare. He doesn't lean in for validation. Instead, he holds space. He listens. He watches. His energy says, "I know who I am, and you're welcome to discover it if you're ready." She doesn't feel pressured, she feels invited, and that invitation is unforgettable. But here's what most men get wrong. They try to fake this gravity, they memorize lines, mirror alpha behavior, wear the look of confidence. But gravity isn't costume, it's chemistry, and chemistry is born from inner alignment. That's why Stoicism is not just a mindset, it's a magnet. It teaches you to live from your center, to protect your energy, to walk away without drama, to show up with depth. Not because you want to attract someone, but because you're already in love with the man you're becoming. Women feel that. They feel the difference between a man who wants their attention and a man who's focused on his mission. The latter makes her heart beat faster, not because of what he says, but because of what he doesn't say, because of the mystery in his restraint, the calm in his chaos. This is how you become unforgettable. Not by chasing women, but by becoming the man they chase in their thoughts. A man who respects himself so deeply that he doesn't need her interest to validate his journey. A man who leads with silence, speaks with intention, and disappears when disrespected, not to punish, but because peace is non-negotiable. A man who creates weight in every room, not by trying to dominate, but by carrying the kind of self-respect that cannot be faked. And perhaps most importantly, a man who chooses himself consistently, deliberately, and unapologetically. This is not arrogance, it is sovereignty. When you walk into the world with this energy, women sense it in your presence, in your eye contact, in your stillness. They lean in, not because you pulled them, but because your energy gave them something to respond to, something real, something rare. So if you want to become the man she can't forget, stop asking how to win her over. Start asking, what does my posture say when no one's watching? What do I tolerate that drains my value? Am I building a life that pulls people toward me, or begging to be included in someone else's story? Because the answers to those questions define your gravity. You don't need more effort, you need more alignment. You don't need to be louder, you need to be more anchored. You don't need to be chosen, you need to choose yourself. And when you do, you become the man she can't replace. Not because you tried to impress her, but because you impressed yourself so deeply, so unshakably that your very presence spoke what words never could. That's not game, that's not manipulation, that's mastery. Now speak out and comment below. I am the gravity, and I move the room in silence. Number 6. Her tests are not attacks. They are invitations to depth. Most men flinch when tested. They either overreact or overexplain. They see her silence as rejection, her sarcasm as disrespect, her mood swings as manipulation. But a high-value man reads it differently. He doesn't hear a challenge to his ego, he sees a doorway to depth. Because women test not to destroy your frame, but to discover if it's real. And here's the uncomfortable truth. She doesn't test the man who doesn't matter. She tests the one she feels something for. She pushes not to break him, but to see if he bends, or if he stands like a lighthouse in her storm. This is how desire works on the feminine side. She wants to feel your center. She wants to know you are not here to impress her. You are here to anchor her, that you won't be swept away just because she shifts with the tide. Machiavelli would say, power is not proclaimed. It is proven in silence, and there is no louder silence than the one that follows a woman's emotional test. That's when most men start talking too much, explaining, pleading, trying to reassure. But the man with quiet power, he just breathes and waits because he knows something they don't. Every emotional test is a compass. It points to her desire for strength, direction, and trust, not logic, not gifts, not declarations, just stillness. She doesn't need your validation. She needs to feel your vibration. When she ignores your message for hours, she's not punishing you, she's observing. When she throws a sarcastic jab, she's not being cruel. She's poking the edges of your ego. When she pulls away for no reason, she's not leaving. She's listening to see if you chase, collapse, or stay still. You fail these tests when you react. You pass them when you remain. This is what Stoicism trains you for, not to suppress emotions, but to see through them, to witness a moment of chaos and remain loyal to your internal compass, to stay centered in your truth while the world, and sometimes the woman, spins around you. So how do you pass the test without playing games? Here's what presence looks like in practice. When she pulls away, you don't chase, you withdraw your energy and return to your mission. When she questions your intent, you don't defend. You smile gently and let her wonder. When she challenges your boundaries, you don't raise your voice, you enforce them once, then let your absence speak. Every time you choose silence over scrambling, she feels your weight. Every time you choose stillness over pleading, she feels your center. Every time you choose purpose over performance, she feels your depth. And in that depth, she finds peace. Because here's what most men never learn. A woman doesn't want to lead. She wants to relax, to melt into her feminine, to feel safe, not because you control her, but because you control yourself. That's the root of polarity. Not dominance, not charm, not approval seeking, but alignment. When a man walks through life with grounded energy, women feel it. And the ones who value strength won't try to destroy that gravity, they'll test it, not to break it, but to fall into it. So the next time you're tested, don't react. Pause, breathe, return to your frame, and let her see what kind of man you really are, not the one who performs when the spotlight is on, but the one who radiates power when no one is watching. Because that is what she's really looking for. Not the man who always says the right thing. Not the man who always gives the right gifts, but the man who knows how to remain unshaken so she can finally relax and be led into something deeper. Now, comment below. I don't react to her tests, I reveal my depth.